Dan Segiowao, Nolan ni Sika Sun CP Seku Tsinya. How's everybody doing? My name is Nolan Malbeuf and I'm from Beauval, Saskatchewan. I guess my story has to do a lot with being Métis in that experience. I come from a family line that has experienced residential school. I come from a community that is very common to drink and do drugs. And I grew up in that setting. When I was about 18 years old, I was kind of getting in trouble with the law, and what happened was I decided to go to church. My parents had a church back then. I felt like feverishly in love with Jesus. I became a youth leader in the church. Then I met my wife, my future wife, Natalie. And about a year or two into our relationship, some old kind of ties that I had resurfaced. I thought when I went to church that I was a new creation. All things are passed away, all things are new. And so that meant that there was this big magic rug that I could shove all my crap under and just be done with it and walk away and live this new life. All the while I didn't realize that I had not dealt with anything. And so an incident happened. I realized that my past wasn't gone, that it was still alive and well, maybe just dormant for a while. And when I came to that realization, it rocked me. I had been sober for 3 years. I was a youth leader in the church. And then in one afternoon, it crumbled. Fell off the wagon, started drinking, making tons of terrible decisions that kind of sent me off the cliff. And for about 20 years, I was in this torrent, in a family setting with my children, with my wife. The closest I could probably compare it to would be like a living hell. I would disappear. Broken promises, lies. I missed Christmas, you know? That whole time I was so stuck on the idea that it was all about me. I left my whole life for you. You should treat me this way. And if you don't treat me this way, then I would reprimand my own wife and kids by taking off. And so that was a long road, very long and painful road. Imagine you do something so bad. The emotions attached with that, shame, guilt, regret, resentment, brings you to a place where you say, I will never, ever, ever do that again. And then the next opportunity you get, you do it again. And then you swear on your life, you swear on your mother, you swear on everything holy. You swear to God, you'll never do it again. And then you do it again. Imagine the hopelessness and despair of that. The reality of the emotions that you're causing your own children to feel, your wife to feel. It culminates into this hopelessness. I've always said it's like digging a hole, and every time you swear, you'll never do it again. You dig the hole a little deeper. Before you know it, you can't even see the edge. You can't see the light. You can't see the sun. I had enough. I couldn't stomach hurting everybody around me. My wife, my kids, my parents, everybody. I went to Meadow Lake. I was living on my sister's front lawn in a trailer. And for 10 days, I was just in a cocoon of pain. Couldn't look at pictures of my kids. Couldn't talk to my parents. Nothing. And then one morning I woke up and I heard this voice in my head say, get up. Get up! Your emotions are not your wife and kids' responsibility. Get up! I knew that it was something tangible. I knew that it was, in a way, what I needed to hear. I got up, dumped all my stuff, went straight to my parents' house. My mom's there. My son, she said, a righteous man falls 7 times. The Lord raises him up again. And I just like, that's where the sobbing began again, you know. When I came back, I had this sense that there was something proactive happening inside of me where I needed to seek out why this was happening. So I came here to Harvest City and I connected with Deb. She attempted to talk about my past. And so when that happened, man, my walls came up. And I had, in that moment, realized how off limits that was. I had not known. See, when you come from an indigenous family line, you're well acquainted with tragedy. You're well acquainted with pain. You're well acquainted with being left out, abandoned. You're well acquainted with all this stuff. So what do? You get tough. And it's that toughness that you use to desensitize yourself that made me blind. I was seeing through these lenses that my experiences carved out for me. But when the Lord met me and healed me, those glasses started coming down, that I could see Him. Then He taught me, I'm gentle, I'm kind, I love you. I love you so much. To me, it's like God is a dad, and I'm a dad. And if I see my kids hurt, I want to do everything in my power to help them. And that's what He did to me. That's what He showed me. So the last year, I've had to just deal with some stuff. One of the biggest things that I was experiencing my whole life was fear. There was a night I was really struggling. I was at home, it was about midnight, I was drawing, and all of a sudden this intense feeling of fear and alarm came on me. I couldn't shake it. No matter what I did, I couldn't shake it. Thankfully, the next day I met with Deb, walked into her office, stormed in. Man, this is the night I had, what's wrong with me? This is too much for me. I was upset. I told her what happened and she said, sounds to me like you have a control issue. I'm like, what kind of mumbo jumbo crap is this? Then she prayed. Then she said, think. And then I saw things that I hadn't saw in a long time. So I developed this thing where if I could control all the environment, then I won't get hurt. Something powerful happened. This last year, I think the easiest way to sum it up is there's life in our home. My wife laughs at me again, you know? It used to be quiet. You could hear a pin drop all day, doors shut. We laugh, we sit, we play. My two oldest daughters came up to me just 2 separate times and said, Daddy, I forgive you. My business is thriving, my heart is full, close with my parents, chasing Jesus. If there's something that I could say to anybody who is feeling hopeless, I would say read John 5. Jesus sees a blind man, heals him. Blind man looks around, doesn't know who healed him. He said, the man you called Jesus healed me. Later in that story, Jesus goes and finds this guy and he says, do you believe in the Son of Man? And he says, well, if I knew who he was, I would. He said, the man you see before you is he. And he said, Lord, I believe. The man you call, you can tell me who Jesus is. You can tell me what he's like. You could even tell me what I should believe about him. But until I encounter him, until he comes and heals me, takes those blinders down, and shows me who he is, that changes everything.